Good morning and welcome to November 30th press conference. We certainly appreciate you being here. The season has certainly changed a little bit. As I walked in downstairs, it looks good. Robert Greer's been making it looks a lot like Christmas, but more importantly, outside it feels a lot more like Christmas. I don't know why Casey has started us out with this, but she did want me to remind you that today is the last official day of hurricane season. Thank God that's the last day. Hopefully this weather we're about to have is going to keep everything at bay, and we'll be looking forward to getting your disaster kits and everything well stocked again for next June 1. But again, at least we see that. And more importantly than anything else, though, we are probably going to be seeing a freeze event tonight. So obviously, if you have plants that have been outside, and that's what I did this morning. I moved several plants that I had outside onto my porch. Made sure that they were going to be, at least able to survive the temperatures tonight and what was going to happen. They're protected. You get them either inside or do that. Your pets, certainly think about that, and opportunities to think about anybody else, your neighbors or anybody else that might need some help with the temperatures changing the way it is. So just be aware of that. Obviously, we had a great Thanksgiving weekend here in Pensacola. I hope you had a very good Thanksgiving weekend. I know I had to run up to Tuscaloosa on Thursday to see my son. We came back Friday, and my wife has been on me to get Christmas decorations out, so the Robinson household is all ready for Christmas. But again, it was hopefully a good time to be with family and spend some time with family and think about things we certainly had to be thankful for. One of those things very thankful for, again, the continued what we are seeing, at least the economic, at least while we may not be where we wanted to be, we certainly are well above other parts of the country, and certainly very thankful for that. Also very thankful for as we continue to fight through COVID, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Certainly was glad to see all of our retailers hopefully have a good start to the holiday season and the shopping, and certainly the opportunities to be downtown. We're also going to talk about some things, just making sure that we have with making sure you have to come downtown and park and be there. We've done some things differently, but we got to get everybody to get the new app. So we certainly understand that, and we're going to be talking about some things. I think Lisa's going to be trying to get together with some of the merchants downtown. I think there's some challenges getting some people used to the new. That there are 30 minutes free. First 30 minutes is free parking if you just want to come down, run in. But I think we're still having some challenges getting everybody pulled up. So again, we're working through that. But we think there are great opportunities for you to come downtown, and we hope you will. One of the other things that's obviously happening at this point is keep the wreath green. We want to keep everything good and green. This is the time of year, though, we start getting cooler weather. Heating becomes a part of it, whether a variety of different ways we heat. There's always the danger for potential fire hazard. So our Pensacola Fire Department is very vigilant this time of year. We always have a wreath out in front of all of our fire stations and some other places around the community. We have green bulbs on. We want to keep them green. So that's the goal. If we have any fires, they'll put red bulbs, but we really want to make sure that we are diligent about that. And certainly tonight, with the temperature changing, I want you to be thinking about what you need to do to make sure your house is prepared and that we don't have any fires. And if you have anything you need, any tips, certainly contact Pensacola Fire Department. They are out there. Again, this is firefighters want to reduce this. Each time a firefighter responds to a residential fire with damage, the green bulb will be replaced with red. In 2019, one red bulb was changed. Only one bulb was changed to red on city reefs. In 2018, 2, and in 2017, 7. So we've been we've gone from 7 to 2 to 1. We would love to have a year where we're all green. So we want everybody to be thinking about that. For fire safety tips, please check out Pensacola Fire Department on Facebook. Please check out their Facebook page. On social media, they have lots of good tips to prepare you and your home to be safe during this season. And again, I just want to say we certainly appreciate, and we're doing this in conjunction also with the Escambia County Fire and Escambia County Public Safety. There are wreaths at all 5 fire stations in the city and 21 in the county. So we have a number of places you'll see that, and we certainly appreciate working with our brethren over there at Escambia County Fire and Escambia County Public Safety. Yard collection debris reminder, after completing debris collection from Hurricane Sally, regular debris, your yard debris, will resume schedule today, Monday the 30th. So if your day was garbage and recycling, you'll also be getting picked up your regular cycle of yard debris. So again, we are back to regular pickups now, and we're no longer having any pickups that are hurricane related pickups. So if you please have your sanitation yard debris out there, you'll be collected on the same day as your garbage and recycling. This applies to yard debris only, not to bulk waste. Bulk waste you will have to get a pickup for, and you'll have to call Pensacola City Sanitation. So for bulk waste, please call Pensacola Sanitation. I recently implemented a mayoral policy 20-01 covenant for the community for the city of Pensacola in an effort to further promote local businesses and local resident participation in city construction projects. The policy takes effect January 1, 2021 and establishes the following local business and local resident aspirational participation goals for city procurement relating to construction projects and capital improvement projects in excess of $100,000. Local businesses will participation of 70%, and by local we mean Escambia and Santa Rosa County businesses are defined as that. 70% of all existing employees are local residents, and 70% of hired employees are local residents. And that's certainly what we're getting, trying to get locals. Now, there are some provisions in there if they cannot find a certain skill, but the other provision in there is certainly they don't have to comply with the 70%, but if they do, they need to tell us what that skill is. This gives us the chance to go and do more training so we can develop that. And I know I've been working with Commissioner May, and I hope in the very near future, there'll be some, I know Scott Luth was in here with Commissioner May the other week, and we were discussing getting going on an apprenticeship position moving forward and getting people, so if we have construction skills that need to be out there. So we are joining the county with the covenant and certainly happy to get that started. We would have liked to have done it in 2020, but obviously 2020 was a challenging year, and we're going to get it started here at the 1st of 2021. This also applies pretty much to local projects. Any projects we have FEMA or federal funding in, it won't necessarily apply, but it will apply to all of our LOST projects. And we certainly, even in other projects, will be asking contractors to look to comply with those aspirational goals. So even though it may not be an official covenant project, we still will be asking them to work with us. I think this will also give us a good indication as to how we need to train if we find ourselves deficient in any skills we can be. That will help us with our workforce training, help us to be more prepared as we move forward, and make sure that our students and our citizens have those skills necessary to get the jobs done that we need to get done here. So we're excited about that. There are a number of things happening with roads and construction, one of which we're very happy that the roundabout has opened on Langley Avenue. I went through it last Wednesday, went through it safely. It was good to see it open. I was glad to get it open there on Wednesday. I did talk to Derek Owens, city engineer, this morning. He indicates that we have still about 2 weeks of work just on landscaping and some irrigation and landscaping work that will be done over the next 2 weeks. We'll probably have a ribbon cutting as soon as that's finished, but it is open. It can be usable, and again, you still see some areas that probably don't have sod down on them yet. That's coming as we continue to work through some of the things on it, but we wanted to go ahead and get it open as fast as possible so that you could begin driving. We certainly expected it to be open before now. Obviously, Hurricane Sally changed a lot of things we were doing, but we're very excited to see it open now, and we think it will be a great project, and also working on traffic calming for that area. We will be seeing 17th Avenue and Bayfront intersection. Again, 17th and Bayfront. FDOT will close this intersection north of the intersection of 17th and Bayfront to vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian traffic beginning today, Monday, November 30th, as construction activities advance for the new 17th Avenue interchange. The new interchange will be a flyover from the new westbound Pensacola Bay Bridge and a roundabout underneath. The intersection will remain closed until the Pensacola Bridge repairs are completed in spring of 2021. So again, the intersection will be closed for several months as they complete that work. And again, it will reopen about the same time. Apparently the bridge will open, and we'll have traffic back going through there. At this point, we'll be asking, cars can still come down 17th, my understanding, and be able to turn to go to Gregory. So that's where you'll turn off. And if you're coming up Bayfront Parkway, you'll be diverted over to 14th. This is so we can still have all of our businesses serviced on Gregory and Chase Streets. We'll have access. The last thing, though, we'd certainly look at all truck traffic and working all truck traffic to take 9th Avenue as the detour. Any large truck traffic, we'll be asking to detour around this area. Obviously, they can't take 17th, so 9th should not impact them one way or another, but we will be asking them to move that direction. The CPAC meeting will be held tomorrow night at 5:30. The meeting will take place in Hagler Mason, located on the second floor of City Hall at 2222 West Main Street. So that will be happening. Finally, with COVID-19, we will be we do have 16,675 cases in Escambia County. Again, 14,800 of those are residents. My latest update from the state shows about an 8.86 positivity rate, which follows the 9.85 the day before, 5.12, and 7.46 before that. Hospitalizations have gone above 100 over the weekend. We were at 109 yesterday after 106, 99, and 98 the last couple of days. Still, while we've seen an increase, it has not been as rapid of an increase as we've seen before. But it certainly indicates that we need to stay on top of this and continue to be looking at what we're doing. Masks are a big part of that. Obviously, social distance, wash your hands, what we need to do. But we are now over 100 hospitalizations. So again, we need to be working together and do this. There's no reason we can't remain open. We can have businesses open, but we've just got to do it with the proper procedures that we need to. If we mask and we go into congested areas masked, I think it certainly will allow us to be more successful as we fight this virus and figure out a way to move our numbers down. Our numbers, while they have increased, it has been a very moderate increase. So we continue to work with the hospitals. I will be in contact with them today. Obviously, we'll be discussing at length where we go with vaccine. We're very excited about the potentials of seeing that coming forward. And we know that our first responders are some of the first people that will be, will have the opportunity to get the vaccine because of their job and what they do and how important they are for not only servicing what we do, but making sure that we don't have a contamination in either the fire service, the police service, or any of the other agencies that like Public Works that get out there and respond to things as quickly as possible. So we know that they're going to be on the early end after healthcare workers, and that's one of the things I hope to talk to them today on my call with all of the hospitals as we begin to move forward and hopefully can see the end of this COVID-19 as we end 2020 and can start putting it behind us. But until that time, we do need to be focused on continuing to wear your mask, and we will be enforcing that certainly here inside the city and working with businesses. And I think I've seen, I know we went through a significant time where we didn't see as much, consistency in wearing the mask, people getting that. But I'm glad to see I'm seeing more businesses require that, and certainly more businesses take it serious with their employees. So this is a time we need to take it seriously. If we can get the numbers down to 50, I totally understand the mask fatigue we've had. I'd like to find a way to move that. But at this particular point, we need everybody focused on wearing masks and making sure we do it. If we prove we can drive our numbers down and see that happen, we'll be able to get back to a point where we can do some other things. So certainly appreciate your compliance with this as we move forward, and again, that's where we are. That's it that we've got from our side. Casey, what do we have as far as questions out there?
First question is from Dave at WWF. Given the spike in COVID cases, do you feel some frustration that Governor DeSantis has taken the teeth out of all local mask ordinances in Florida?
Well, again, he's taken some of the enforcement out against individuals. We still have the ability to enforce within businesses, and we've been doing that. I do think, again, I think one of the things the governor has been very clear about is asking to make sure that we try to everything we do to keep businesses open, and we've done that in the city of Pensacola. We want to continue to do that, but I think if we're going to do that, we've got to be serious about wearing masks and making that happen. I would like to see that, in some way or another, be able to see, I guess, more leeway given to local areas for their local conditions, and that be allowed. I do think perhaps one of the things to ask for within that is reaching out to the governor and asking them. I think it would be totally consistent for the governor to have some expectation that we will communicate if conditions get to a certain point, that we would not mask. So I think if we can do that and get some confidence, hopefully we can broker something that would work both for local communities when they are having upticks, but at the same time be able to show when we experience low hospitalizations or low COVID numbers, that we would have a way we could relax at some point. So again, I think if we could do that, I would hope that the governor would be sympathetic to working with local governments and certainly trusting local governments. I will say during from March until September, he did that, and I think Florida's response has been better than other states, and I think it really goes. Certainly having a chief executive that allows his different areas to operate, and then having areas that operate and do it responsibly. I think if those are things that will make Florida's response better. I think when you look at what happened through March through September, we were much better than the national average. I think these statewide positions of you can do a mandate or you can't do a mandate, we've stressed from the very beginning that we should make local decisions based on local conditions, and we should have the ability to do that. So, that would be what I would continue to ask the governor to do. He certainly did that March through September, and we were successful in managing our virus exposure.
And I'm going to jump ahead. Usually I ask these in order, but this question from Jim at the News Journal is very similar. You addressed most of it, but I'll just go ahead and ask his whole question. What are your thoughts on the governor stripping local government's ability to enforce mask ordinances, even against businesses? Do you believe this action is legal under the Florida Constitution?
Well, Jim, I've been a big proponent of home rule always. All of my public service have talked about home rule. I've talked about how during the middle of COVID, we should be making decisions about how our conditions are locally. And again, every other part of Florida should be doing the same thing. What makes Florida so great is certainly exactly everything you talked about in the 68 Constitution that allows us this flexibility. I do think in some ways, I would love to reach out to the governor and look to talk to him about things that we could do and show what we're tracking and why our decisions are based on something that we're tracking soundly. And I do think it's something that, again, since September, I've communicated that if we get to a point that where we go down, we need to be able to relax, and we need to be able to show the governor that we will take those measures, and we would not irresponsibly just continue to legislate a mandate without having a threat, and so that we can, if a threat comes back. So I certainly will be happy to reach out to the governor on that, toward that end. I think local home rule is what has made Florida when you really look at its population, it's when it became more of an economic, a political, and certainly it's a giant in our country was really after the '68 Constitution that instituted home rule. It really allowed all areas of Florida to be a little bit different and base things on their local condition. It's one of the great strengths of the state of Florida, the decentralization of it. I've been a huge proponent and believer that, again, we need to make decisions based on what's happening locally. It doesn't matter what's happening across the country or across the state. Our decisions need to be determined by what's here, what our experience is here locally. And I think we've tried to do that. We've put forward a measure that we track. It goes up and down. It reflects what is happening with the virus, and we've indicated that we would be willing to do things in that. I would certainly take those things to the governor and ask him to work with us, and certainly trust our ability to make things workable in our community and trust other local governments as well. But I'm totally in agreement with him in that I think all of us are trying to keep as many things open as possible.
Okay. And I'm going to jump ahead for one more related question. This is from Jeremy at In Weekly. Have you communicated this local control desire to the governor directly recently?
Have not, but it's something I've been thinking about. You know, we've had a number of things we've been working with, but it's something I've been thinking about as we've seen our numbers go up and the need for us to have that ability to work here locally. So we certainly will reach out. Again, I don't think I'm going to be the only area that's having this. I think every area. It's one of the reasons, you know, we've had things here and there, and I've agreed with the governor that I don't think we needed a statewide mandate, because again, some areas of Florida are experiencing things differently. We need to have strong local governments in all of those areas that will respond appropriately with the measures needed to deal with their own local situation and get things back under control with the virus. We've done it multiple times. We've shown what we can do. We showed that over the summer. It certainly worked with the governor, and I'd be more than happy to reach out to him and communicate that.
All right, and this is from Andrew McKay. What is the estimated annual cost to the city of enacting your covenant with the community?
I don't know necessarily at any particular time. The county already has it implemented, and I don't think it's been an expense issue to the county for over 2 years. They've had it, but I mean, I haven't heard anything one way or the other that it is creating expenses for them. But Andrew, that might be a good question for you to ask the county, but they haven't communicated any increases or decreases necessarily in cost, but it has gotten more locals working on projects, and more importantly, when we have deficiencies, it should be telling us where we're deficient. I'm a huge believer that we've got to do a better job of directed workforce education. We're trying to do that, and I think I know in my conversations, like I said, I guess the week right before Thanksgiving week, it's hard to remember which week is which at this point, but that week right before the Thanksgiving week, I did have a chance to sit down with Lumen and Scott Luth, and we were discussing some of this and the need to really get a program that would create opportunities for people to go get skills for, certainly in construction and in other trades. We have a number of projects that will be happening both in the city and the county, and really in all of Northwest Florida over the next couple of years. We need to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that our citizens are prepared to be a part of that and join in it and have the economic success. As I've said earlier, you know, economically, we've still continued to work very strong even through COVID. In fact, I was with a retailer over the weekend. I had breakfast over at a restaurant, and he was on Gregory, and I was talking with the owner, and his challenge, he said, you know, really through COVID, we've been able to survive and do very well. He said, you know, we feel very good about where we were with COVID. Now, he said the bridge has absolutely killed him. Having the bridge go down has been an economic challenge for him. But he indicated that from his stance, he didn't think COVID necessarily was an issue. I think most of our businesses are learning how to operate with it and make it work, and I think that's a very good thing. I think we've tried to be very reasonable and respectful in what we've done, and keep businesses open, keep people working, keep people earning, and we've been successful. So, I think we're going to continue to see economic growth, and certainly finding any way we can to encourage companies that are participating here to find a way to involve local citizens, and then find a way for us to direct any maybe area deficiencies in our training to make sure we train people so that they're properly prepared for what's coming forward. I think this is a good thing. I think this will also just continue to propel our economic prosperity into the future.
This is from Jim at the News Journal. Can you elaborate more on what prevented you from putting the covenant with the community in place until now?
There were a number of discussions we had with legal and trying to do it beforehand. We actually were at a point in February where we were ready to do it, and I think we just kind of got to March and it kind of got away from us. And then as we went through the summer and all the challenges we've gone through in 2020, it really came back around to after we got done with the hurricane and saw a few construction projects started, realizing that we hadn't fully implemented. So Susan and I got together and finalized what we needed to do and moving that forward. And it's, we decided to do it as a mayor's policy, so it was easier for us to be able to make it happen and move it forward.
All right, this is from Jim also. Will there be reports produced on projects under the covenant that detail the compliance with the covenant?
We absolutely, that's what we're asking them to comply with us and work with it. And so that'll be absolutely something we do. It was interesting to me. I know Quint has been asking this in all of his construction projects and making sure that people did that. And I know the reporting kind of could be challenging, but I know I know I used to live across the street from Mike Moret lived across the street from me, and he had participated under it. And I knew that Mike was actually using it as a selling point when he was bidding on other jobs to tell people he certainly does that. I think it's a great thing for our contractors once they learn and can show that they're hiring locals and locals are in that participatory way. I think it's a good thing that we could see happening all the way around. So that's certainly what we're hoping to see, and that it's good for both our employees and our citizens, but also our employers that participate with us. And I mean, that's our whole goal, to get them to see what we can do. And again, if they can't find a certain skill, there's no problem with that. I mean, we certainly understand that they need to bring people from outside the area, but we would like to know what that skill is so we can begin to direct our workforce training and make sure that we have that properly set up for people in our community to be able to get those skills and be able to have those jobs.
This is from Andrew McKay. When was the last time you spoke with the governor? Is the governor available to you personally?
Last time I spoke to the governor was when he was here for after Sally. I mean, we certainly have ways to get information to him and requests to speak. I mean, we certainly have a relationship, but I have a much better relationship with some of his cabinet members, other people there in Tallahassee, and we can certainly find a way to communicate with their office. But the last time I talked with him was Sally, and again, we had a much different request and ask. So again, it's we've gone through a lot of things that we've gone through in 2020 that have, usually you might go through one of these in a calendar year. We've gone through multiple. So at the time we were going through Sally, it was not, this was not as pressing, but obviously it's more pressing now, and we're going to I'll certainly be trying to reach out.
All right, this is from Jim. Can you explain what the status of the ST engineering project is, and with the increase in cost for Hangar 2 that was approved last month, how will that impact the total financing of the project?
Jim,
Sorry, I'll ask his follow-up questions after you answer that.
Jim, if you noticed, that was one of the things that required that we work through. Is it wasn't just Hangar 2, it was all the things, and we made it very clear that we only had the 210 million in there. So I think that was important what we did last month, getting that approved, and that allows us to move forward with the cost estimators both in element 1, which is Hangar 2, and then also element 2, which is Hangars 3 and 4. So it really allowed us to do some things there at that point. I think now this allows us to be moving forward and get, I think we should be very shortly be looking to do groundbreaking on Hangar 2. So, I think that was an important step that we got to in both getting us, the companies, the construction companies involved, and more importantly, getting our corporate partner to the table. I know, and as I continue to work with them, some of the things that will come out were a little bit slower than we expected. Obviously, dealing with COVID as it goes through, they clearly anticipate that they see a bounce back in what's happening. And certainly we're seeing that happen in travel and things going through. I think certainly no one will benefit more from the vaccine as it comes out than those areas that are dealing with travel and a variety of other things. They believe their market will bounce back. The demand will come back to that standpoint, and then moving forward. I will say the other part that they're continuing to see growth in, certainly we have they use our facility here mainly for somebody that does air freight. They have a lot of customers that do, take customers, regular commercial flights, but they also have a lot of freight operators, like a UPS and a FedEx that those businesses have continued to increase during COVID. And so there's a mixture of things that are happening as we move forward. They feel very good about the market as it continues to come out of this, and they think the vaccine will be very, very beneficial to what they do and what the airlines do. So again, they think certainly all their projections are toward 2023 getting back in line, very close to what we had before COVID, and being back at that standpoint. So what was approved last month was very important, and it gets us moving forward. And we were excited about that, and we were excited about confirming the whole thing at the price of the 210 million.
All right, and part of, or Jim had a couple of questions tacked on the end there. Why was there an increased cost, and will there be enough money for the later phases of the project if the costs are similarly higher?
Jim, there were some things that were changed a little bit on this. There was a desire to have some warehouse facilities on the east side. Remember, Hangar 1 and 2 are on the east side. Hangar 3 and 4 and some of the other service stuff was going to be on the west side. But obviously, taking things back and forth across the runway, they decided not to put all of the warehouse area into the west side, but also do something on the east side. So we had a few modifications that had happened in what the design was. Obviously, some of the other things that we learned a little bit from lesson 1, and some other things that they wanted included. So we tried to include some things, but like I said before, what we approved back in November basically has been very clear that we only have 210 million for the project, and so those things will be able to do and be able to complete it based on our cost estimates, both element 1, which is Hangar 2, but also element 2, which is 3 and 4. So again, that was we weren't just looking when we moved forward on Hangar 2. We wanted to be sure that we could do everything on 3 and 4, and that was sort of confirmed in the pricing that we had and the things that we had moving forward. So as far as I think very shortly we'll see a groundbreaking and beginning moving forward with Hangar 2, and from that standpoint, it'll be quickly into, because we've also approved that moving forward, moving into 3 and 4. So I think what happened in November was very significant to us moving the whole project forward.
This is from Jeremy at In Weekly. Any further updates regarding Mardi Gras plans? When will a decision be made and what will it be based on? Do you have a specific hospitalization number you'd be basing something like this on?
I think on that end, Jeremy, one of the things that when Marty and Danny and I talked, we talked about wanting to get together with the hospitals. This is the first time since we've talked that I've had the chance to talk with the hospitals today. So I plan to communicate to them and see what we could do. We will absolutely be looking at some level of probably our hospitalizations and seeing where we are and what's going on. So, from our standpoint, we've talked about it. It's a little over a month away. We need to do the work now to get our hospitalizations down, and part of that is everybody getting serious about wearing masks as we go through the holiday season. If we do that, we can be successful. We can drive our numbers down. We showed that in the summer, and I think that's going to be our goal. We absolutely want to find a way to get to that goal. I think that's what's very important about us all working together to try to make sure that we have all those opportunities we've always had culturally and everything else that we've worked with to be able to make sure that we do those things. So, we're still shooting for I think it was the January 5th to know by. I'm going to talk with the hospitals today about it on my conversation with them, but we'll also be talking about significantly at length about the vaccine. And so as those two issues, I think we just keep looking to see what's going to happen. And I think the more we can come out of this thing with the vaccine, by the time we get into February, we could be in a much different place than where we are today. I mean, it's just, again, these things change over time. If we find a way that the vaccine's coming out and it's making a difference, I think we could be in a much different place by February than we are today in December.
And a follow-up on that question from Jeremy, what are the plans for Christmas and New Year's events?
There is no Christmas parade. I don't know of anything necessarily in New Year's other than that's being organized from a position of a public standpoint. So I think we had a lot of things there with Veterans Day and a few other things that we had done publicly, but I don't see as many of those things on the calendar during December going into January. So I think what private entities do, what private citizens do, we'll see where we go going forward. But I think the more we can try to continue to do things, and again, somebody sent me something. What we see is significant less likely to contact the virus, outside and things that are done there than inside. Certainly, the issue is congestion. If you're there, obviously, when you're inside, it can be much more crowded and congested. But again, getting into a point where you're on top of each other for a long period of time, even outside, that could create problems. So, those are the things we're trying to avoid, and we'll continue to try to do what we can to make sure we can keep moving forward as safely as we can in this community.
This is from Andrew about the covenant for the community. If there's no cost, I guess I'm confused about the initiative. If local is always cheaper, it seems unnecessary. If non-local is sometimes cheaper, by how much? Again,
Andrew, from that standpoint, I don't know. The county had implemented, if there's a cost issue or a problem, we certainly will be happy to ask them. Our whole goal is to make sure that our local citizens participate in what's going on, and that we're also looking to, if we have to get skills from outside the area, that we find out what those skills are, so that we know what we can do going forward and how we can train better for it. So again, I don't, if there are skills that are from outside the area that are needed because there's nobody here, then the covenant necessarily isn't going to change that. But what it is going to do is help us at least identify what those are. So as we work through our workforce development, that it will give us the opportunity to find what those skills are. Otherwise, we have no idea what that is. So again, a lot of this is just data and information and getting things better understood, what's happening, and also the confirmation that we have locals participating in local work. And I think that's going to help us as we see we've got a number of projects going forward, and we're excited about having locals participate with this as much as possible.
This is from Randy at Channel 3. To your knowledge, have we had any businesses in the city that have closed and are out of business due to COVID-19 or the bridge?
I don't know that right off the top of my head if we do or don't. I mean, obviously, in any given year, we have businesses come in and out of business for a variety of things that happen. I haven't seen necessarily as many closures. It doesn't mean they haven't happened. It's hard to tell why they happen or what may be occurring. I just found it interesting in talking to one local restaurant about it. And again, it was a conversation I had, Randy, yesterday with the guy who ran a restaurant, and he was interesting. We just kind of said, our whole goal is to get out of COVID. I think if we can do that, we'll be much better. And he said, really? He said, honestly, we've been able to get around COVID. We figured out how to make it work, and it really wasn't a problem to us. Now, he did say he is on Gregory Street, and he said that the bridge has had a significant impact to him. But we did talk about that, and obviously we talked about making sure that March is the target time for that. I'm hoping to have a conversation with DOT. We're hoping they're going to be in town on Friday. We're going to talk with them about other things that aren't just bridge related, but I'm sure we'll also talk about the bridge. We want to talk to them about several things that are happening related to state roads and other state initiatives inside city limits of Pensacola. So we typically have quarterly meetings with them. We'll be meeting with the Secretary and his team, and I'm sure we'll talk about the bridge. It has been an impact for those businesses, not just in Gulf Breeze, which have been clearly publicized, but it's impacted businesses in Pensacola, certainly there on Gregory and Chase. And the conversation, this individual knew that was going to be a challenge, but he felt like as long as the bridge could be back open in March, he felt very good about being back open and able to survive that. I know talking about some other things that we're certainly shooting for summer and making sure we're back open and available. I know I talked today with Derek Owens, who told me that we've got a lot of FEMA projects on Palafox Pier and a lot of the waterfront here. Derek believes that we'll be looking to start those projects hopefully in January, and his expectation is certainly there mid-spring. In that April timeframe, we should be finishing up. So again, we expect to have everything we've got ready for that. Much more our amenities back once the weather gets better. Once we start having tourists come back in the spring and summer, we expect to be open as well. So again, getting all those things open and staying focused on that, I think is going to be the most important thing that we can do economically, is getting the bridge and everything repaired from Sally. And Sally continues to be a very, very much of a focus of where we are at the City of Pensacola. But we're going to get through that, and we expect we'll have it ready just in time for us to get back to the spring and summer tourist seasons. And we are very hopeful that we'll have all our vaccine done by then. So again, I mean, sort of a shot in the arm, in both arms. We get the vaccine and getting COVID behind us, and hopefully getting all of our repairs done from Sally behind us. And if those two things can happen, I think it'll put us in a great position as we get into 2021.
All right. right, and we don't have any more questions. I did want to say, though, happy 2-year anniversary as mayor. We weren't in the office Friday, but Friday, November 27th, marked your official 2 years being sworn in. So happy 2 years.
Well, Casey, I appreciate that. As I told somebody else, the first year felt like a year. 2020's felt like 5 years. But certainly I think we've made a lot of good progress at the city in what we're doing. And despite of the challenges, I mean, when you look at what we were hit with and to see where we are in a number of ways, both in terms of public health, in terms of our economy, and a variety of other things, we find ourselves in a very good position. Now that doesn't happen automatically. We got to stay diligently on top of it, and I expect we will. But I can tell you the City of Pensacola is very focused on those things, and whatever we can do to make sure that we position the city and its employees to make sure that we're doing that both for the economics of our community, but also for the health of our community. Thank you.